So these sessions over the next few days are going to be around 45 minutes long. The whole point and intention is to really just get right to the point and kind of go through all of the steps to making your selection on your niche or your topic that you want to start your online business for. And then we'll do a little mini exercise, and then I'll give you guys something to do immediately following the day after we're concluded. And then the next day we'll lead into the next thing, but I want them to be pretty short. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. We're going to keep it to where you kind of can get through everything and not feel overwhelmed and actually have a niche selected by the end of the 3 days. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay, so in day one, I know I kind of just went over this. We're just going to go over what is a niche and what are your options to just give a big overview picture of how this works. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of what you can choose from, which within each of those examples. And then we're going to go over a resume case study from one of the people that submitted their resumes to me to take a look at. We're going to use one of those and just use it as an example to see what the options are with somebody who has more of a professional background. And then we're going to go over the exercise and the homework. All right. So day one, let's go into what is a niche. And if you guys have any questions, I will reserve time at the end, of course, to answer any questions you guys have. So just so you know, I'm going to focus on the coaching right now. And then at the end, I will answer any questions you guys have. So first, your niche is going to be a topic that you're going to focus on building your business around. And it's going to be something that you're knowledgeable about or passionate about. And that's just because you're going to be talking about it every single day. So it's a lot easier to talk about something you know a lot about. And if you're passionate about something, then it's just so much more enjoyable and it turns into something where you can just love what you do. And that's kind of the goal here. And I think there's a lot of people that maybe don't think you need to niche down and pick a specific topic. But I can tell you from a lot of experience and watching a lot of people that this is really, really important because as a beginner, you're likely not going to have a lot of experience or background in content creation, or maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if you don't have a lot of background in content creation or sales, it's going to be harder for you to attract an audience whenever you're not establishing yourself as an authority. And if you want to talk about a million different things, you're not going to establish yourself as an authority and you're going to be trying to talk to everybody and then you're going to end up talking to nobody because they're not going to listen to you. So the three categories that this will be under, your niche will fall under, is going to be coaching. And this is going to be something you are going to have to show your face. And I know that that's a big pain point for a lot of people, but this is just part of the process. And there's going to be a lot of personal development that is a part of this process to being a business owner. It's inevitable. And that's why a lot of people are not able to do it because they haven't grown on a personal level to be dedicated and actually execute on something like this. So coaching is one of those things you're not going to be able to build trust with somebody and get them to listen to you if you are not showing your face. I'm going to pause for just a second and check to see if there's anybody in the waiting room. I got a new computer and the issue with it is that I don't have two screens anymore connected. So I don't know how to have, the chat over here, the letting people in over here, but also show you guys only the screen. I guess I could share only the application. Maybe that will work. Okay, so then coaching, we talked about that. So you'll end up sharing products or services created by someone as an affiliate, or you're going to create your own products and services. And then the next option is going to be faceless. So this content actually performs really, really well if you do it in one of the high performing categories. So I definitely don't recommend trying to coach anybody on anything without trying to show your face. There's a huge push of this, and there's a lot of viral accounts that have you convinced that you can sell a digital course, for example, about making money online without showing your face. And don't fall for that because it's not going to work. I promise you it's not going to work. But there are some high performing categories that you can choose from, and the faceless content does really, really well. And we'll talk about those on the next page. But with this faceless category, you're going to be physically showing what or how you're doing something and then letting them know what products you're using to do so. And this is going to be something that you're going to have to do every day. So just keep that in mind whenever you're trying to think about something that might work for you as far as a faceless account goes. And then the last option is going to be your personal lifestyle brand. So there are a lot of lifestyle brands. We've all seen the accounts on social media. It's a very hard place for people to start if they don't have one of these three things, and that's going to be a magnetic personality, a really, really exciting or interesting life, like you're constantly traveling, or you live in a mansion and everybody just wants to look at it, that kind of thing. Or if you have the ability to create engaging content that somebody's going to watch no matter what. So like if you're just a really, really engaging person, you're really, really good at sales, you have a background at social media marketing, like you have some kind of competitive advantage that is going to give you the ability to create content that anybody's going to watch. And I think a lot of us starting out are definitely not in that position. So I really steer people away from the personal lifestyle brand and just get right to it and be honest that unless you have one of these three things, it's probably not going to work out. So just keep that in mind whenever you're making a decision there. But if you do have one of those three things, your business is going to be based around sharing your personal stories and then growing an audience of people who like you, and you'll be able to share any product with them. So going into some specific examples under coaching, we're all here because we're following accounts, about learning how to make money online, digital marketing coaches, affiliate marketing coaches, email marketing coaches. There's all types of coaching in this space in particular, but this is just a very, very small sector of what is out there. And I think a lot of people have it in their mind that the only way to make money online is to teach people how to make money online. And if you actually go out there and start to do the research, you will find that that is just astronomically not correct. Like it's just completely false. There's a very small percentage of people that are making money online. A very small percentage of them are teaching other people how to do it. So just because that's in your algorithm, don't let that deter you. Don't feel like you have to do that to make money. And also, while the discussion of money is up, keep in mind too that I think it's been kind of glamorized. Making money online has been glamorized, and making $1 million in 2 years or making $1 million in a year or whatever, it's been put on this pedestal, and then everybody feels like that they need to make $1 million. And wouldn't it just be enough to replace your current income or make a salary that's going to allow you to be comfortable? I don't think even, I mean, some people would be comfortable with even making $10,000 a year, 20,000, up $50,000 a year. There's a lot of people that would be more than happy with that. And these numbers are so attainable, and we don't have to think about, oh my God, I need to make $1 million. You don't need to make $1 million. You need to make what you need to make to live the life that you want to live. And that doesn't have to mean that you make $1 million. So just keep that in mind when you're deciding and kind of thinking realistically about your numbers and stuff. It doesn't have to be about this idolized number of becoming a millionaire, because that's not everybody's goals to become a millionaire. So under coaching, there's so many things that you can do. And I like to put all of these things under coaching because even things like beauty and skincare, you're going to be sharing your knowledge on things to people that don't know a lot about beauty and skincare. And a lot of the times, whenever we're trying to think about what we're going to do and what our niche is going to be, we completely overlook the obvious on things, because once we become good at something or once we know a lot about something, we start to automatically assume that it's like common sense, if that makes sense. We think that everything is common sense. We're like, oh, well, everybody knows that. I don't need to talk about that because everybody knows it. You feel almost like I'm going to use the term mansplaining. Like you feel like you're mansplaining things to people if you kind of dumb it down too much. And there's just so many people that know so much less than you do, and you think that it's common sense once you get to a certain point, but it's not common sense. So whenever you're trying to decide what you would share, just keep in mind that there's other people that don't, maybe they're a level 1 and you're a level 4. There's always going to be somebody that knows less than you. But any of these different things you could turn into an online coaching business. And if you go out there and start to do some market research, which we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But if you start to do the market research, just out of curiosity, I have a super curious mind about all this stuff. I always have. So whenever I think of a topic, I'll just go out there and start researching it. I like to use TikTok just because it's kind of like a search engine now, and you can so easily find people monetizing literally anything you could think of. Anything you could think of, I guarantee you there's somebody on TikTok monetizing it. And it's just kind of training your brain to think outside of the box and be creative about the direction that you can take. And it's all about doing what you're going to feel most aligned with. Because if you're not showing up authentic, you're not showing up aligned with what you're doing, aligned with your messaging, people are going to be able to feel that and they're not going to follow you. And that's another big reason why I just strongly discourage people from going down the path of trying to sell an online course, because that is not going to make you money if you're not passionate about it or you're not cool with lying to people. So just get that out of your mind that you need to do something like that you don't know anything about or that you're not passionate about. I can promise you, you are going to make so much more money picking something that you're actually knowledgeable or passionate about. And I saw a couple of resumes that I was sent where I saw that you guys are interested in reading, and that was one thing that just triggered me because it made me want to look it up to see if there's any type of like virtual book clubs or different groups that meet for book club. And there's tons of accounts about book clubs and virtual book clubs and that kind of thing. So it's just another point to make that literally everything is being monetized, and you can do whatever you want to do. As long as you choose to show up and put in that work every single day and you don't give up, you're going to collect a tribe of people that are ready and willing to follow you and interact with you. So moving on to your faceless categories, these are some of the high performing categories that perform really, really well. The cooking and cleaning videos, it's one of those things where it's like, because they record themselves doing it and they speed it up and you're just watching them go through, and you get better at the editing on these types of things, but it's really not that complicated at all. The biggest thing they're doing is just filming themselves do the task and then speeding it up and kind of cutting out, the fluff. But especially the cleaning videos, I don't know about you guys, but I just find myself watching, like, it could be a 3-minute long video of somebody cleaning, and I'll watch the whole thing. And then afterwards, I'm like, why did I even watch that? Like, it's just so crazy how our brains work. And once you kind of start to pay attention, you'll notice that those types of things grab your attention. And the DIY projects, the same thing there, or the Amazon finds, and they're just unboxing things and showing you all the crap they bought. And you watch the whole thing and you're like, why did I even watch that? Why do I care what this person bought? Like, we're just interested for some reason. It's just psychology, I guess. But these are really high performing niches. And also the last one that I added here is something that I haven't talked about before, but is really, really noteworthy, because if you want to start a faceless account, and if you post about something that is insanely controversial, you are going to get a ton of views and a ton of engagement and a ton of comments, and you could then become one of those people that maybe you don't even end up wanting to collect emails or do any of the whole online business thing, which I don't recommend doing that. You really need to collect emails no matter what, but you can get paid in the creator program, like on TikTok, for example, which Instagram, excuse me, and Facebook have the same thing where you get paid based on your views. And if you want to post, and you don't even have to show your face, and you can post about something extremely controversial and get yourself into the creator program and then get paid for the views that you are getting. And you are intentionally basically posting to piss other people off. And once you know that people are doing that, and they are, the viral accounts that you see where they're posting something, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they posted that. And then hopefully you're not one of those people that comments like really, really mean things, like death threats on people's videos, because that's not nice, but people do. And once you learn that people are actually doing that for them. They're intentionally trying to make people mad to get the comments and the engagement and the views and the shares and the, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like they completely disagree with you, but then you're going to get a ton of people that completely agree with you. And that is the fastest way to success, is to make everybody mad. And it sucks that that's the truth, but it is the truth. If you can be willing to show up and make people mad when you're not showing your face, it's a lot easier because it kind of feels like less of a personal attack. But when you're doing it and showing your face, that takes some serious, you know, confidence, strength, willpower, because you can't really say anything back to these people or you'll get a violation and you'll get in trouble. Like you could call someone a silly willy and TikTok will give you a violation. It's absolutely crazy. But just keep that in mind. Like if you just want to start experimenting and create an account where like the sole intention is to just make everybody extremely mad, that's always on the table as well. So personal brand, we kind of already talked about that, and you're going to post about anything with that goes on in your life, record daily activities, and share your favorite items. Just don't make it salesy and just have fun with it and create good content, good lighting, and all of those things. So Tiffany, I chose Tiffany's resume for this just because I felt like it was most like kind of similar to my background in that she's got a lot of administrative and kind of professional experience under her belt. And I wanted to just highlight some of her a few highlights off of her resume that are things that would be really good for somebody to move into an online business, some qualities that she has that would make her a really good online business owner. So the highlights here, the first couple that I wanted to, I highlighted these because relationship building is a huge part of being a successful online business owner. I think some people think they're just going to start posting and then they're just going to start making all this money without actually having to talk to anybody. But that's not at all how it works. Relationship building is one of the key things that you are going to have to do if you're going to have success in this space, because you are not going to post and just have your hand out and think, I'm just going to, everybody's just going to start paying me because I'm so awesome. That's not going to happen. You're going to have to build relationships with people. And Tiffany has a lot of experience on her resume dealing in HR and hiring and onboarding. And, the whole entire hiring process requires a lot of personable skills and dealing with a lot of different types of people and managing those people. And this is a really good quality to have as far as relationship building goes for having an online business, because this is just like any other business as far as relationship building goes. And because of everything we've seen online and, people trying to convince other people that this is so easy when that is just not true at all. It's just like any other business. You have to go out, you have to build relationships, and you have to get people to trust you and give them a reason to choose you, because there's always going to be somebody else. There's always going to be somebody else that's going to do things differently than you. And that doesn't mean that it's oversaturated and you can't see success. It just means that you have to be your unique self and you have to put yourself out there. And there's just no way around this. So some of the other things that she had in her resume were doing market research and just coming up with different strategies for different aspects of her job, and also implementing new ideas. So this shows that Tiffany has a really outside of the box thinking. She's dealt with project management, project strategy, and she's executed on all of these different strategies and management of her tasks. And that is kind of, the epitome of being a business owner. You're going to have to come up with your own ideas. You're going to have to do your own research. You're going to have to come up with your own strategy. You're going to have to manage everything. You're going to have to execute on everything. And a lot of the qualities and experience she has are right in line with those qualities of a business owner that would be able to successfully execute on all of this. So also, of course, with onboarding and hiring and training, you are going to have a lot of experience with training and coaching. And I know for me personally, my training experience in the corporate world and having to build training materials that were highly detailed and, step by step, can't leave out any steps. I worked in payroll and accounting. So obviously accuracy is of the utmost importance in those areas. So, if I got hit by a bus, somebody had to know exactly how to do every single thing that I did because I was the only person that knew how to do what I did. So whenever I was creating my training materials, I had to be extremely detail oriented. So having a background in any type of training and coaching or educating is really good for the online space because you're going to be able to put together training materials or, events like this to where people are going to be able to retain that information and actually benefit from it. So these are really great things to think about whenever you guys are looking at your own resumes. Tiffany also had some experience and showed that she participated in continuing education. So she was constantly, trying to be ahead of the curve on what everybody else was doing so that she could maintain up to date with everything that was going on. So being eager to learn and having that willingness to learn and share what you've learned with other people is a huge, huge benefit in this space because that's pretty much exactly what we're doing here, right? Like we are choosing to show up and learn about something and then share that knowledge, or we're showing up to share knowledge that we've already taken the time to learn, or we already were passionate enough about it that we've already learned it, or we have a passion or a hobby or something and we want to share that with the world. So these are really, really good qualities that would set somebody up for success in the online business world. Now, online business opportunities to take from Tiffany's experience, these are some really kind of more obvious ones, I would say. Now, when it comes to this kind of thing, I didn't have the chance to have a personal conversation with Tiffany before this. So, of course, if you are somebody who is, she has a background in human resources and nursing, but if you are somebody that hates human resources and nursing, then you obviously wouldn't want to do these things. And maybe that's why you're trying to get away from this type of thing. But just to be really pointing out the obvious on what she could do with her background, she could do career development coaching kind of in a generalized sense. So there's people all over online that help people with resumes, how to perform well in an interview, how to get jobs that they aren't qualified for yet, how to make themselves stand out, how to write the best cover letter, how to showcase your qualifications in a way for each specific job. There are just endless, endless things that you can do as a career development coach or something along those lines. You'd be amazed if you haven't already done that research on TikTok. Definitely, definitely do and take that with what you've got on your resume or send me your resume and ask me to look at it, and I'm happy to do that. Also consulting current professionals to implement proven strategies that you've implemented in a specific area in human resources or nursing, because Tiffany showed a lot of experience in coming up with different ways to improve processes and come up with innovative ideas on how to make things better. So that is something that not everybody has that ability to think like that. So thinking outside of the box and coming up with new and creative, innovative ideas, a lot of people don't have that quality. So sharing those proven strategies and innovative ideas with other people is a really, really good way to set yourself apart and put yourself out there and help other people with your expertise. And of course, with nursing, with the background in nursing, there's career development for nurses. There are thousands of accounts of people that are helping nurses kind of pass their exams or get jobs or learn about travel nursing. There's endless ways that you can take that. But then back to, if Tiffany absolutely hates human resources and nursing, I don't know because I didn't get to talk to her, but coaching on any topic you're passionate about, the transferable experience keys will set Tiffany up for success in whatever she is passionate about or knowledgeable about outside of her work experience, because she has all of this experience with training and coaching and project management and execution of strategy and willingness to learn and all of those personal development type of skills, and paired with the, skills at her job, those things are going to set her up for success to do anything that she wants to do. Okay, so exercise and homework for day one. Kind of, okay. So everybody, if you have a piece of paper, this is going to be really quick here for the exercise, but across the top, you're just going to write down your 3 specific topics you're knowledgeable or passionate about. If you're still stuck on this, we can chat after, but also these are some questions that I want you to ask yourself if you're still stuck on choosing a niche. So if you've looked at your resume, you can't think of anything, and you just can't think of anything at all that you're knowledgeable or passionate about, ask yourself these questions. What do your friends and family come to you for when they need advice? And if you can't think of anything, I want you to go to your friends and family and ask them, what do you think that I'm really good at? Like, what do you think are my strengths and skills? Ask them if you can't think of anything, because sometimes when you're put on the spot and you're trying to think of these things, it's really hard to think of it from your perspective. So ask other people if you can't come up with it yourself. Or what is something, so I think for me, like worst case scenario is something, if you can't think of anything, worst case scenario is coming up with something that you were always interested in, but you never took the time to learn, because having to take the time to learn something is going to be a long game here. So that is going to be the longest path to success. If you are going to try to learn something first and then share it with other people, that is going to be longer to your result. So just keep that in mind. This is worst case scenario, but you could take the time to learn something that you are really interested in and then start sharing that or doing that and documenting it online. And then also look at what kind of content you spend the majority of your time watching, because that will help you see kind of what you're interested in. So if you use TikTok, your For You page is probably going to tell you what you spend the majority of your time watching, because that's going to be a personalized list of things that you watch. So take some time to look at that. Probably the same thing if you're an Instagram or Facebook user, just look and see what's on your main page, and that will likely tell you the things that you're spending the majority of your time watching. And then of course, what skills you have on your resume that would benefit others. And this is another thing that I think is hard for some people to look beneath the surface rather than just all of the skills. It's like, okay, well, how am I going to turn that into an online business? I'm saying like teaching other people how to use Excel or PowerPoint or anything in the Microsoft suite, teaching people how to use that is a huge thing. I looked at somebody else's resume who had a background in production, and they put on there that they were really good at Adobe and maybe Adobe Photoshop. Those are things that other people want to learn. And whenever you're keeping in mind that you're here to build an online business to potentially get away from a 9 to 5, still keep in mind that the majority of the people on this planet are going to work a 9 to 5, and they need help with their things too. Like Excel, for example, there are a lot of jobs and positions that require you to take an Excel exam or just, know Excel very proficiently. I've had to take Excel exams to be qualified for positions many, many times. I'm good at Excel, so that's not an issue for me. But if it was an issue, I would definitely be willing to invest in something that was going to help me learn that so that I could land a job. Because just because we're here trying to get away from a job, there's more than not people are going to be, looking for a job and trying to land a job and trying to stand out at their job. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the skills on your resume. We're kind of thinking from a different perspective here because we're trying to get away from that. But the majority of people will be working a 9 to 5, and the skills that you have from your resume can help those people. So for the homework tonight and after this, I want you guys to conduct the market research on your 3 topics, because this right here is a critical piece in adjusting the piece of your brain that is telling you that you can't do this, you can't monetize your topic, nobody is going to listen to me, nobody's going to purchase what I'm selling, nobody else is monetizing this, I've never seen anybody monetizing it. Yes, they are. You just have to go search for them. So of your 3 topics, you'll want to type your topics in the search bar and go through the creators or users on TikTok and find one proven strategy account for each of your topics. And a proven strategy account requirement is going to be 10,000 followers or more, because we want to follow somebody that kind of is, proven that they are seeing success with this. Because if they've reached 10,000 followers in one specific niche, they are 99% chance they are making an income with that. So they also need to have a link in bio, because if they don't have a link in bio, but they have, hundreds of thousands of followers, they are getting paid with the creator program. So they're not making money. It's just that they're not kind of they're doing it just by creating their content. And with what we're doing here, excuse me, we want to focus on people that are selling something because we want to be an affiliate for something, or we want to kind of produce our own product or service. And then the last thing that you want to make sure for the proven strategy requirements is that they have a paid service in the link in bio, because sometimes you'll see a lot of larger creators, like I said, they will have a link in bio, but whenever you click on it, you'll notice that everything in there is a freebie. Now, you could take the time to join their email list and then see what they end up selling you, because I guarantee you they are selling something. But for the sake of quickness and just simplicity, just find somebody that already has a paid offer, because it'll get you to the result quicker. You don't want to have to wait for somebody to send you an email, God knows when. But you'll find somebody with something for sale in their link in bio. And then we're going to write down the TikTok handle under each topic so that you don't lose them. And then write down what they're selling, because then tomorrow we're going to go over how you're going to choose what you promote and kind of the best route to take as far as deciding on that and those kind of things. So real quick, before we go to questions, if anybody has any, I just wanted to show these couple of accounts in line with Tiffany's resume. I just typed in, for this one, she is helping people with different HR topics. And she's posting about all kinds of different things, but a lot of things to do with corporate and HR and interview prep and just all kinds of things. Now, she's a larger creator because I just found the first person I could find that fit the criteria of the person we were looking for. But if you click on her link in bio, you'll notice that she is selling career services. So this is somebody that helps other people land jobs and helps them with their resume and that kind of thing. And there is a huge need for this kind of thing. I mean, because I think some of us too, maybe we came from a home environment or background where we were helped with this kind of thing, but there are a lot of people that don't have that. Like, they don't have family, friends, or parents that they can come to for this kind of stuff, and they rely on people like this to teach them this stuff. And they are willing to do whatever they need to do to get to climb the corporate ladder and get somewhere and make something of themselves and, get out of their current financial situation or whatever the case. There is a huge need for these people. And again, if you're coming from a place where you don't understand why anybody would pay for that, because maybe you do have a support system, just always keep in mind, in anything like this where people are selling their services, that not everybody has, the same maybe friends and family background or support system that we might have. So there's a ton of smaller creators that do the same thing. They talk about all different kinds of ways to help people with their career, which is huge. And then also with Tiffany's resume, because she had a background in nursing, this is another very, very large creator. But I have done a lot of research in this because there's a lot of nurses that jump into the online space and they help other nurses pass their exams. They provide studying materials, study groups, different educational courses and flashcards and all kinds of things. And when we look at this person's link in bio, they're selling a nursing bundle. And then they've, of course, got their different, I didn't click on all of these, but they probably are going to be, okay, so she's selling more stuff than she's giving away for free. But if you look at some smaller accounts, like they might only have one thing for sale and then the rest of them are freebies. And that's okay. As long as they have at least one thing for sale, then we can have, proof of concept that this person is posting all of this stuff to generate income. And even if like this nursing bundle is only $98, and I don't know how much of that she's getting, if this is her website or what, I didn't look into it that far, but those dollar amounts add up. And like I said, just keeping in mind too, that we don't have to become millionaires. We don't have to shoot for 1 million followers. You don't have to have 10,000 followers to start making money. You don't. And this doesn't have to be the goal. This is just kind of to help you guys get into the right headspace and perspective to know that literally anything can be monetized, and there are different ways that you can use certain strategies to choose certain things that are going to make the most money. Like, say, for example, a lot of people come to me and they've got multiple things that they're knowledgeable or passionate about, so they don't know what to pick. They can't pick. And that's a good problem to have, because a lot of people can't think of anything. And if you can't think of anything, then, you know, just being completely forthright, like this is the first hurdle that you're going to get through. And if you can't make a decision here, you know, at the end of the challenge, if you can't make a decision, then it's likely not for you. Like this space is likely not for you. So hopefully you guys are able to make a decision and move forward in that aspect, but we don't have to become millionaires to see success, and just know that, you know, anything you can think of can be monetized. Absolutely anything. Okay, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to put them in the chat, or if you guys want to turn off your mic, you're welcome to do that as well. I originally was going to say 30 minutes, but then I decided, because I tend to babble on and on and on sometimes, I was going to give myself 45 minutes, but I'm glad to see that I was like right between that mark. All right. So the pet niche, I don't think the pet niche is too broad. I think that kind of picking something, so it depends what type of content you're going to post about. So like, for example, there's a lot of dog training niches. As far as pet niche, there's people that might, you know, post nothing, but they talk about collars and leashes and bandanas and those kind of things. And they are kind of either an affiliate for those products, or they own a company that sells those products. So I guess definitely try to narrow it down further than just pet niche. There's also people that do dog grooming and different grooming accessories for at-home grooming. I don't know about you guys if you're animal people, but I just can't bring myself to pay to take my dog to a groomer to trim her little Grinch feet, I call them. She is a long-haired Chihuahua, and she gets the hair that kind of grows further past her feet, and it looks like the Grinch. And so I just trim those myself, and I trim up her butt fluff, I call it, because she has hair that grows, you know, off of her butt. But I just can't bring myself to pay and take her somewhere to do those little maintenance things. So I paid for like a kit that had, you know, the scissors, and I clip her toenails and that kind of thing. So at home grooming would be a way to niche down in that. But even then, I mean, it just depends which direction you want to go with it. I think there's ways to niche down, and then there's also ways to keep it a little bit more broad. You want to keep in mind about what you're going to have in your link in bio, because you want it to be easy for someone to go in there and choose from 3 or 4 options and not be overwhelmed by what you're offering, because then they'll just leave. And then you also don't want to talk about too many things that one person is not going to be interested in. So that's a huge reason behind niching down. Like with the pet niche too, like I said, it really depends how you go, because pet people are, you know, usually like diehard pet people, you know, dog lovers or cat lovers or whatever. And it's a lot easier to get people to follow that because they're cute and furry. So I think that that could be an exception depending which way you're wanting to go with it. I don't know if you had a specific idea in mind as far as that goes, but there's so many different ways you could do that, and just keeping also in mind that you're of course going to have to film, but filming your dog is a lot easier than filming yourself, that's for sure. I thought about doing a dog page. I started a dog page with my dog before, and for me, it was just because I was trying to get into a space to use like my professional background for my online business. I just knew that posting my dog wasn't going to personally fulfill me. So that's kind of why I decided not to do that. But I still think it's an amazing niche to be in.
Kara,
Yes.
so as people are looking at niches, they may go, this is something that really excites me, but as I do my research, it looks like there's a whole lot of people that are already doing this, And so I'm afraid of stepping in and into something that's very competitive. Can you talk a little bit about just sort of how you, I mean, I guess what I've learned is, especially in where you're showing your face, that you are who you are and you will relate, people will relate to your own tribe kind of thing, but faceless might be different. So you might talk a minute about just sort of how do you, don't be afraid of a competitive space, I guess is the,
Yeah, definitely. So with faceless, that is a little bit more challenging because you're not going to be showing your face and you're going to have a harder time getting across what makes you unique and that personal aspect that's going to get people to follow you. And that's going to come down to it actually being educational. Like if you are going to make cooking videos, you need to make it really easy for people to see your recipe and really easy for people to, save it and see your recipe really clean, good lighting, good, editing so that people are going to want to watch your video or DIY projects, the same thing, anything faceless related, you're going to want to make sure that, you're providing the educational aspect that's going to get people to, save your video, request whatever it is that you've got to offer. But as far as your just typical coaching or accounts where you're going to show your face and that kind of thing, the biggest thing with this, and also the biggest struggle, especially for someone like me, I struggle with this immensely because my entire life it has been so incredibly cringy to me for people to put their business on social media. I find that so incredibly cringy. I find it tacky. I find it to be attention seeking. And I have always just been so turned off by people like that. I just never understood it. Like, why would you want to share your business online for the world to see? Now that I have to completely kind of like change that entire perspective because I do this for a living now, and I struggle immensely with showing the vulnerable, authentic side because I hate the idea of putting my business out and being attention seeking. I cannot stand that. Like the thought of me doing it just makes me cringe. But what makes you unique and what is going to set me apart from everybody else is being authentic and being who I truly am. And sometimes, occasionally, that is going to mean being vulnerable and sharing something that might feel to you like it's attention seeking, but it's not. It's your way to connect with your audience. And that is going to be the reason that they follow you over somebody else. So it's not attention seeking, it's a marketing strategy to be vulnerable. And it's also not just a marketing strategy, it's a marketing necessity. You have to be vulnerable or nobody is going to connect with you and nobody's going to follow you. And that right there is why there is absolutely no such thing as oversaturation, because you cannot be oversaturated because you are you and nobody else can be you. We're all unique and have a unique perspective to share. And it doesn't always just have to be about, being vulnerable and sharing your drama and that kind of thing, but just being authentically who you are with no apologies, like showing up and saying what you feel, drawing a line in the sand, not being afraid to upset other people. You cannot play Switzerland and get anywhere online because that's exactly how you're gonna get thrown into the people that are saturated, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are showing up thinking that they can, not show who they are, play Switzerland, not take a stance, not show, vulnerability and state opinions on things that are going to make other people mad. There is a sea of people that are too scared to make other people mad. And those are the people that are left in the dust. And those are the people that are in the saturated space because, not being who you are is kind of saturated because everybody's trying to do it. They're trying to just post on here and put their hand out and think that people are going to pay them. And it doesn't work like that. Hopefully that, hopefully I hit the points that you're looking for there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing I've learned on my journey is just what you just said, particularly because I'm doing something that's got to have my face in it,
Mhm.
is that I am the person that I am. I'm of my age. I'm of my experiences. I'm of my, authenticity, and that's different than anybody else. And
Right,
so, and also, I may do what I do better than somebody else in terms of organizing things or presenting it, or I have a unique philosophy to
right,
approach it. I think
right.
the other thing is that a thing I've learned is that you may look at something as a very small thing, that you think, oh, well, that's really not worth all that much. There's this vast knowledge of stuff that I have, but gee, if I really narrowed it down to this, is that really worth anything? But if you look at the number of hours and things that would save somebody, like a checklist or a series of steps, it doesn't have to be, it's like niching down. It doesn't have to
Right.
be such a huge thing to have an enormous value to other people.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of goes in with what I was saying earlier about when we know things, we start to think it's like common sense, but it's not. Like there's so many things even, and that's why I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, in that once you start to reach a higher level, and I think this is why a lot of the gurus out there struggle to connect with a beginner, because it's been so long since they've been a beginner, they don't know how to explain things very, very broken down and detailed, because that is so far, that is so much that's common sense for them. They can't even fathom the idea of having to explain that to somebody because it's so common sense to them. So they leave out all of those pieces in their programs or educational resources. And then people get in there and they're like, well, what the heck? Like, I'm still at step 0 and you started me at step 5. I need steps 1 through 4. Like, why are we leaving out all this stuff? But because they are so, advanced beyond belief, they just completely neglect those pieces because it just feels like common sense to them, but it's really not. And like I said, mansplaining or dumbing things down, whatever you want to call it, is really necessary in this space because there are people that don't even know how to open a Facebook account. Like, I'm not kidding. They don't even know how to open a Facebook page to start a business page. And while, some people would be like, oh my God, why would I even need to explain that? Like, they could just Google it or it's just common sense. It's not common sense, though, to people. And especially, when you're making an investment in education, why should you have to go Google every single little step? You're always going to have to Google something. That's going to be your best friend in this space. You are going to have to Google. You're going to be Googling stuff all day, every day. But just keeping in mind that even the littlest of thing could be, something that is common sense to you, but not common sense to other people. And that will be something that could completely change your entire perspective on from saying, well, I don't know anything that could help other people to, wow, there's a lot of people that don't even know how to do this. Like I can't, you wouldn't believe like what people actually don't know. And there was one example I gave too. This just reminded me. Last year, I made a video about like cleaning, just generalized video about cleaning and how to a lot of us, like I grew up in a house where my mom made me clean often, like toothbrush in hand around the crevices of stuff. That's how you clean. But there were people that were genuinely not taught how to clean growing up. And I don't want to throw this into a sad story or anything like that, but like there were people that just didn't grow up with the same kind of background or parents in their life that taught them these things. So you have to keep that in mind whenever you're thinking as well about things that you could share with people. Just know that not everybody had present parents that taught them basic things. Like my parents taught me how to build my credit and what I needed to do to have good credit and that I needed to do it like immediately and that kind of thing. So, but not everybody grew up with, I know tons of people whose parents didn't teach them how to do any of that stuff, which I find to be so mind-blowing why a parent wouldn't teach their kid that, but it's just an example, of how what's common sense to us isn't common sense to other people. Okay, with so many social media accounts being taken away, I was wondering about your email marketing for TikTok Shop, Amazon. Okay, yeah. So, Denise, so this is something that I see a lot of people, first of all, a lot of TikTok shop affiliates and Amazon influencers that are kind of trying to get approved into those programs. They're kind of, posting and spending months posting and they're not growing an email list while they're doing that. And ultimately, like you pointed out, there's a lot of accounts being taken down for just the most ridiculous violations imaginable. And it's like devastating to think about, how many months that these people spent growing those accounts for them to get a violation over something so silly. And if they would have grown an email list, they wouldn't have had to start from scratch. And people are just completely missing the fact that if you're not growing an email list, you don't have a business. And not only can you grow an email list, for customers, You can grow an email list for the brands, like brands that are reaching out to you or brands that you work with, and then you want to save their email because maybe you want to work together again and you want to reach out to them and say you're available for jobs or whatever the case as a content creator. But there are so many different ways that you can go, and I think that there's a little bit of a struggle as far as collecting emails from the customer perspective, because if you're somebody that is posting content about a ton of different products, like a TikTok shop affiliate, for example, you're going to have to be really strategic about how you collect your emails, and you're going to have to segment them in a way that is going to make sense, because you cannot throw everybody on the same email list whenever you're, talking about an ice maker and then you're going to talk about a makeup product. Like, you're going to have to make the lists segmented, but that is kind of what I'm going to be coming up with. And I'm going to be talking to more TikTok shop affiliates and Amazon influencers to kind of see what they need and what I can build that would make things easier for them, because there's just there's endless things that you can do with an email list, of course, but you don't have to only promote, TikTok shop stuff to people when you get their email. You don't only have to promote Amazon stuff to people when you get their email. If you've brought them in under a certain category, then you can promote anything you want to them. So there's a lot of power in having an email list. And not only that, if your account gets taken down, say you've actually grown a community of people that like genuinely are, they're really engaged, like they really like you, you're going to be able to grow an account, quicker than you did the first time, because people are going to recognize your face. But what if you had an email list of your most engaged, you know, followers, and you were able to just send them an email and say, hey, my account got banned. Please follow my new one. Like, how much quicker would that get you to where you need to be to get your account back into, the amount of followers you need, the amount of engagement you need, all those things. So that's just another thing to think about, even without thinking about selling them anything else in an email. But got lost on YouTube instructions. Yeah, YouTube instructions can be a rabbit hole, that is for sure. And that's the thing, is if you don't know what you're looking for and you're trying to like teach yourself something that you don't know anything about, you don't know what you're looking for. So you're not gonna get anywhere trying to YouTube stuff. You have to already have a background and know exactly what you're looking for. Like, when I go on YouTube to watch things, I am looking for a very, very specific way of doing a very specific thing. And it's typically within my software. I'm trying to Google a very specific way of programming something inside of my own software. So like, I know that I'm going to get exactly what I want from that video, and I'm going to leave with my answer. So that's why people can't learn on YouTube by themselves, because they don't even know what they're looking for, and it's just a rabbit hole. Oh, it's okay about the dogs, no worries. I love dogs. I don't know where mine is. She's somewhere. I'm glad she's not barking. Usually it's mine, the one that's doing that. It's only easy if you know how to do it. Yep, that is true. And yeah, in the research too, like I said, it's just, if you already know a lot, then you're going to know what you're looking for. But there's also just so many people with such hidden agendas, especially in the space of trying to learn how making money online works, and just the space in general. There is a lot of noise, and the people that are really, really good at sales and marketing, and they're so good at like looping you in and making you think that they know something that you don't know, and they've got the big secret that everybody else doesn't have, and they're so good at it. And then whenever you don't know anything about the space, you don't know if you can trust them or not. Like, how are you supposed to know if this person's telling the truth? Because, and even if you've made bad investments in the past, it's still really hard to know if the next one is a bad investment. It's almost impossible to know how to trust people. Like, it is impossible. And that's why recently on my accounts too, I've just started saying, like, please just don't invest with anybody that's selling a viral course, because that is your first bet that you are just going to get completely screwed, for lack of a better word, because there's just too much hype. And the best things that I've invested in didn't have affiliate programs. But Thomas, I'm not talking about my program today, but I'm happy to send you a link if you want to look at what I've got. But I created my own program several months ago that has all the software and education, and it's all of my education and under 100% under me. I'm not partnered with anybody. but it's for complete beginners.